next video, we're editing it right now. So just so you guys know, up until this point, I've been running the business, trying to keep everything moving, keep me and Paul busy. We used to have another apprentice, but unfortunately we got too slow last year, so I had to let him go. But thankfully he's working for a big contractor now. The editing, my daughter actually just started helping with the editing. She's off for summer break. So yeah, she's helping editing so that we can try and get more videos out, because honestly, it just gets to a point where you get off work, you're trying to run the business, you're trying to get everything done for that, keep the money coming in, keep the jobs, and then you come home and you just have to sit down and edit for hours, like literally hours, to get the video to come out. So it's a ton of work. I'm trying to work on, she's doing a really good job with editing the videos. And yeah, I'm loving it. So as far as money from it, it's not a ton of money. Hopefully it'll start to grow more and more, but I mean, it's something. So what's up, Joshua? Purpose of life. Purpose of life, I would believe, is to glorify God. That's what I believe. You guys know I'm a Christian. So we try and do that in everything that we do. Yeah, Jimbo, the upgrade, those other two contractors that you guys saw, I've known them for years. And anytime that we get into big projects, really, that I kind of get myself over my head on a project that me and Paul can't do, I just call them in and we all kind of help each other out that way. If I get too busy, I'll push work to them. If they're too busy, they push work to me to try and make sure that all the customers that are in our network get taken care of, right? We want to make sure that anybody who's calling is getting taken care of. So yeah, absolutely. JC, I don't know a whole lot about the Bay Area. I would definitely, I know that the one thing I do know is that the union pretty much owns the city of San Francisco. I think they have like 99% market share in the city of San Francisco. So if you're planning on doing anything in that area, you're going to have to be in the union. So I definitely would apply if that's the area that you're in. Silos, can you get your Journeyman and C10 at the same time? I don't know. I know that there are two separate tests. One's for, in California at least, your Journeyman license is one test that you have to take. It's usually through PSI, I think it is. I think they're pretty much nationwide. And then the C10 also is proctored through CSI or PSI. Sorry. So I think you would have to schedule those separately. And yeah, Raul, I have an apprenticeship interview in a few days. Yeah. Any advice? I would say a lot of guys want to show up in jeans and a construction t-shirt. Don't do that. Don't show up in a construction t-shirt. You want to go in there like you're going to a corporate job. Make sure you have a button-up shirt, some nice slacks, some nice pants, or some nice shoes. And what I always say to apprentices is you want to go in with confidence. You want to tell them basically that this is what you want to do for the rest of your life. And right now, this is what you want to do. That might change in 5 years, 10 years, but you need to go in there acting like, hey, this is what I want to do for my career forever. And go in there with that confidence. Be humble, right? Don't go in there overly confident. Don't talk over people in the interview. Let them ask you the questions. And just let them know where you're at. And I mean, I think you'll do fine. Yeah, Silos in Los Angeles. Yeah. I think you're going to have to do them separate. Nahum, I think I'm pronouncing that right, or Nahum. There's a great difference between a union electrician and a non-union. So I don't know if any of you guys know, I was union, or I was non-union for 7 years first. and then I switched to the union, and I did 7 years in the union. And there are terrible electricians non-union, and there's also terrible electricians in the union. Having done 7 years in both, you see different levels of work ethic on both sides. And I don't like to get into the big arguments between the two. Some people are very staunch union, some are very staunch non-union. I say wherever you're at, you need to work hard, right? You need to push, try and work towards learning more, growing more. If the opportunity presents itself to become a foreman or a general foreman or superintendent, whatever it is, that's what I always say. Jimbo, win-win. What was that into? Yeah, for sure. Michael just got accepted into the IBEW 728 apprenticeship program. Congrats, man. That is that's a difficult thing to do these days, is to get into an apprenticeship. There's a lot of people who try to do that, and they struggle. For me, it took me a year and a half to get in, because it was right during the 2008 crash is when I got in. So yeah, congratulations. Don't give up. You're going to be probably doing some grunt work to start. It's going to not be your favorite, but just, you need to have the long game in mind, right? You need to have that one day you're going to be a foreman or a general foreman, or perhaps you're going to own your own company someday. And that's what you're working towards. You know what I mean? Dwayne, 26 years in the trade, on my own for 17. Man, you have been through it. I'm going to, next month will be 4 years, and I have still a lot to learn. So in the comments in any of the videos, Dwayne, if you ever see me doing anything or struggling with anything, I would absolutely appreciate any of your advice. I'm sure you have a lot of wisdom being on your own. It's definitely a struggle. At times you want to throw in the towel and go back to work for a contractor. You're also entering your 18th year part-time with United Parcel Service for the company, paid medical, dental, vision, plus a nice pension at 55. How do you do both? Are you more part-time with your company right now, and you got into the UPS? I'd be interested to know that. Evo Unique just graduated out of 271. That's awesome. Congrats. Again, that is a milestone for sure. Real Tools Garcia, I see you there. LES, would you ever come to DTLB for service? Our switchgear needs maintenance. Where's DTLB? Let's what is DTLB? Oh, downtown Long Beach. It depends. It depends on, I mean, you can always shoot me an email, go to my website, fill it out, let me know what you need. And then we typically don't travel far unless the job is going to make enough money, to be honest. So yeah, let's check it out. Michael, thank you. Absolutely. Caseman. A question for the small businessman rather than the master electrician. What's your question? What do you got? Michael, you're excited. Absolutely. I would be too. Oh, and I don't know how many of you guys saw I'm trying to do a giveaway to give back to everybody who's kind of supports the channel and watches all the videos. So, if you didn't see that community post come through, go over there, check that out. Leave me a comment. Let me know what tool you would like. I mean, you can leave it here too. Just looking for ideas of what to give out. And we're going to do like a drawing. And then I'll ship out a box of tools or something to whoever wins. So what's the best advice you can give to someone starting a small business? Oh man. Goodness gracious. Don't be fooled that you're going to get to go on vacations all the time and that you're going to be your own boss, because you have clients now, and your clients are your boss, and it's your job to listen to what they say and to try and treat them the best that you can, and to make sure that you're doing what you say you're going to do, that you show up on time. So I would say just know that it's going to be really tough the first couple years. And I mean, I'm in almost year 4, and it's a struggle. It's a struggle at times. Thanks, Case, man. Nahum, I'm just asking because I'm in my 3rd year as apprenticeship non-union, preparing me for the Journeyman test here in Texas. I forget what his question was. Drop it down again, Nahum. Let me know what you were asking again. Bo, IB 413, Santa Barbara County, 4th year apprentice. Love watching your videos. Always considered opening up your own shop one day. Absolutely. I appreciate you watching. I'm glad you guys like them. That goes out to all of you out there. I try and put a lot of work into them. And yeah, as far as opening up your shop, there's a lot of guys who want to do it. I would say go for it, right? Like I said, it's a lot of work, but the worst that can happen is it doesn't work out and you go back to work for a contractor. At least you tried. Toby, is 23 an hour good as a first year? I would say yes, absolutely. I would imagine you're probably in a high paying state like California, New York, Washington, something like that, maybe Florida. I would say 23 that's a good wage for sure. I think in my area, they start at like 17 or 19, maybe 20 now. And review about to come up, so more will come. Absolutely. Ricky, why am I getting 3 amps from your ground wire bonded at the water pipe? The whole water pipe main is picking up 3 amps. I clamped it with my amp meter. Somebody help me out here. There's a term. I forget what the term is. Oh man, I just ran into it on one of my troubleshooting videos. I forget what it's called, but honestly, I don't have the answer to that. I know it's a live Q&A, but that doesn't mean that I'll always have the answer. I've seen that before. We've seen it in buildings where it's picking up like a transient voltage almost, or transient amperage, I should say. LES, downtown Long Beach. Yes, absolutely. Let me know. Silos is 5 years, enough experience to get a C10. I mean, that really depends. It just depends on what were you exposed to in the last 5 years, and what is the market that you're looking to get into. So I would say if all you did was residential for 5 years and you were cutting in can lights and ceiling fans and replacing receptacles and switches and everything inside a house, and you wanted to start your own business to do only that, I think 5 years would probably be good. That you could do. You're going to have a lot of learning still, in the troubleshooting side specifically. But I'd say you could get started at 5 years. Now you need to be honest with yourself as to what projects you can take on. You don't want to be taking on, like some of the videos, like a 28 meter back upgrade. Even for me, that one, makes me a little nervous. We got it done, and I learned a lot on the first one. The second side, as you guys know, doesn't have the damaged conduits underneath. So that one is going to be a whole lot easier than the first one. But yeah, I'd say 5 years. If you're just trying to do basic electrical inside residential homes, I'd say you'd probably be okay. Toby, commercial, Dwayne, 4 to 9 a.m. with UPS, then out the door to your work van. Hey, that works. I like it, Dwayne. We got to do what we got to do. Dr. Banner, PhD, is 40 years old, too old to become an electrician, or really any trade. So I was talking earlier about the guy who he came on with me. He started last year. He was 43. And no, 40 is not too old. I've seen guys 50 years old start their apprenticeship, 55 years old start their apprenticeship. I don't think it's ever too late to start. Being where I'm at with my body, I got a bad back now after 18 years of doing it. So I don't know where your body's at. Typically apprentices tend to do the more labor intensive work. So just be ready for that. But no, I mean, it's not too old at all. LES, yes, commercial high rise. Toby, you live in the Midwest as well. That's awesome. Bo, where'd that go? 23 an hour as a first year is solid. Yep, I absolutely. Ricky, and that's with the main breaker switched off to your home. Yeah, I'm sorry, Ricky. I'd have to be out there to kind of check it out and see what you got going on. Musty Cheese, how do you feel about unlicensed work? I don't think we even need to ask that question. I don't mean that in a rude way. I think it hurts the market as a whole. I think that it hurts the people who are actually doing things that they're supposed to. Paying for their licenses, paying for business licenses, doing things permitted. I think it really does hurt the market when you have people who are unlicensed and they don't have all that overhead, all the insurances that you have to carry, and then they go out and they can undercut you by a substantial amount, and they're not following the rules. And I just think it can hurt guys who are really trying to do things correctly, but it happens. I mean, it happens all the time. I would say if you're unlicensed, at least in my area, I think you can do upwards of $1,000 per job, time and material together, without having a license. Now, technically, that would be considered like a handyman, right? They're not supposed to do electrical work, but I know they do it all the time. I don't really see that as battling against us contractors who are out here, because I mean, they're allowed to do that. So I would say as long as they stay in that realm, as long as they do pull a business license, I'd be fine with it. Cliff, remember the words change order when they want more when you're running a small business. Yeah. I try and quote correctly the first time. I actually have a recent one that I feel really terrible about, that I underquoted it. And, you go to that contractor and you just tell them, hey, I underquoted this. I will stick to my word with the number that I gave you. But if there's any way you can pay this change order, that would be great. It would help out my family. But ultimately, what it comes down to is you gave them a number, and you need to be a person of integrity. And if they come back and they say, no, you gave me a number, you need to stick by that, then you got to say, okay. Now, if it's something that they change on you, right? They change, I don't know, instead of they want 20 receptacles instead of 10, well, then yes, you got to let them know, hey, there's a cost to this. This is what it's going to cost, and then make sure you get that approved and signed. But yeah, change order is that's really good, Cliff. Sued. What do you hate most about running a business? Oh man, I'd have to say that it never ends. I was just on a vacation with the family this past weekend, and it never stops. Your brain, even if you're not getting emails or you don't have paperwork or nobody's on a job site, it's still in your mind. You don't just get to disconnect. Like if I was a journeyman working in a building, after I work 8 to 10 hours, I go home and I don't have to worry about, I know it's going to be there when I get back, but for a business owner, it doesn't stop. You're constantly worried about, I shouldn't say worried, you're constantly concerned with the things that have to do with the business, if that makes sense. Do we have enough work? Do we have too little work? Do we have too much work? How am I going to handle this? Right? Invoicing. I mean, it's just always on your mind. that's why I say it's really a struggle at times, but it's rewarding. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, and it's always terrible. It's not. You have freedom that you never had before, right? In certain instances. So Dwayne, building a great relationship with your clientele is the bedrock in the beginning. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'd say not just in the beginning, but continuing, right, Dwayne? Like, I mean, you got to keep those relationships moving. You got to keep those relationships going. And it's tough. It's tough sometimes, but you got to swallow your pride. And Michael, anybody got wire stretchers? Nope. I don't have red ground screws either. M-Dog, love the videos. I appreciate it. My favorite part is when I click publish. That's my favorite part. That means everything's done. We're ready to go, and you guys get to see it. And honestly, I really love the comments. It really is encouraging when I get comments from you guys, just about the video. So I appreciate it. Ryan, being an owner operator is tough. Some nights sleep is limited due to overthinking a job going on, like a service upgrade. Well worth it at the end of the day. You're correct. 100%. It's nerve-wracking all the way until that power's back on and you're laying in bed. And you usually get about 1 to 2 days of reprieve, and then you're thinking about the next job. But no, it's good. Silos, Dr. Banner, I started electrical career at 40. It's tough. Yeah. It's probably going to be tough, but it's not too late. Toby, you live in Missouri with the 23 an hour. I think that's pretty good, my friend. You're 21. Absolutely. Keep it up, man. Silos, if you're ever in need of a pipe bender, holla at me. John, there it is. John got it. Thank you. Objectionable current. I actually learned about that probably 6 months ago. I think I made a short on it. It's like a troubleshooting video where I asked everybody like, hey, I need help on this. And Mike Holt has a really good video. Mike Holt. If you guys haven't heard of Mike Holt, he's definitely somebody I've used my entire career to help me learn, Ricky, yes, sorry about that. Taylor, multiple grounded points cause circulating currents. That's why it's only grounded once in the building. AJ Owens, harmonic distortion. Bo, if the water line is picking up 3 amps, then at another grounding something isn't bonded correctly, possibly. M-Sued, how do you estimate work, or better yet, land jobs with all of this competition? I think it goes back to, I think it was Dwayne who was mentioning that the relationships that you build with people, they're critical. You definitely want to build those relationships and keep those relationships. I started out with just creating a website, and every time I would finish a job, I would say something like this. I would say, it was a pleasure working for you. If possible, if I did a good job, it really helps if you can give me a review on Google, and it really helps the business. Every time that I finished a job, I would send that text out, and that got work rolling at first. And then you start to meet people through that. And then these videos actually help a lot that I've been making, because people find them and they're in my area, and then they reach out and they say, hey, we need a good electrician. Can you come out and do this job for us? Estimating work. Basically, I just estimate work based on my knowledge of how long I think it's going to take me. I can't say I don't ever. I typically don't do time and material, which is I just show up to a job and then I work, and how many ever hours it is, I charge them, and then plus the materials. I don't like to do that. I like to estimate how much time it's going to take me, estimate the cost of materials, and then give it to the customer as a quote, as though you were going to buy a TV at Costco. You don't ask Costco, hey, what was the actual labor and materials on building this TV? They just say the TV is $1,000 and you pay that $1,000. So if someone calls me and they say, I want a Tesla charger installed in my garage, I'll usually ask them a few questions. They'll say, okay, how far is it from your electrical panel? Do you want a receptacle, or do you want a hardwired EV charger? And then I will give them a quote based on that. And I know in my head that depending on where they're at, so if they're right down the street, there's not much time to get there, but there is the time to go get the materials. There's the time to drive to their place. There's the time to do the install. And then there's a little bit of time at the end for estimating or for invoicing, right? So I'll add all that up in my head, and I will give them a number based on that with the material cost. I'll call the supply house where I know how much it's going to cost for the materials already, and I add that up in a bundle, and then I send them a quote. And that's where I use QuickBooks Online, because when I need to do a quote, I just put it into the QuickBooks program, and I can put their name, their phone number, all their information, and I send it to them, send an email, and they can actually sign it right there on their phone or on their laptop, or they can print it out if they want to, and they can sign it and then take a picture and send it back to me. And that gives me like a paper trail that says, okay, they approved for me to do this. So now I'm going to order the materials. Or if I already have them, then we're good to go. And then we schedule it. And one thing that's really important with this, and I'm going to try and get to all these questions as much as I can, but one thing that's really important by doing it this way, let's say you go to somebody's house and they wanted you to install some receptacles or some can lights, whatever. And you haven't given them a number. You haven't given them like, hey, this is going to be $1,500 or this is going to be $2,000, right? If you haven't given them that, you don't know what type of customer they are. You don't know if they're a customer who expects that a full day's worth of work is equal to $300, right? Or $200. So you could be in there and you work the full day and you get to the end of the day and you give them a bill and they look at the bill and they're like, are you kidding me? Right? I don't want that. That's terrible. Or the other side of it is, okay, I forgot something. I need to go drive to Home Depot, or I need to go drive to the supply house. If they come back, or they're going to be wondering the entire time, is he charging me for this? He's been gone for 45 minutes now. Is he charging me for the time? Shouldn't he have already been here and already had the materials, right? So I give them a quote, and if they approve that quote, then it doesn't matter if it takes me 4 hours or 8 hours to get that job done, right? There's none of that like wondering on their part, what is he doing? Is he working fast enough? Or let's say you make a mistake or something, right? Or one switch is taking you a long time because there's troubleshooting involved or whatever. There's not that friction with the customer, right? And there's also not a terrible review if you get to the end of the job and they see this bill, right? And then they go on Google or they go on Yelp or something afterwards and like, this guy charged me $2,000 to do this work, when that's what fair market value is, but they just don't understand what fair market value is, right? So you're going to end up with a bad review. So I always want to quote the job. I always want to tell them, this is what it's going to cost. And if they accept that number, then I'll go to their house, right? 99% of the quotes that I give for smaller jobs, like the ones you guys that you're following right now, the big panel upgrades, I went to that job. I had to look at everything to give them a quote for it. But the smaller jobs, you figure out, like, let's say a Tesla charger. Okay. The way I quote that out is, okay, how close is it to your electrical panel? If it's within 10 feet, I have one given price for it. If they want it all the way across the garage and it's 25, 30 feet, well, that's more conduit, that's more straps, that's more couplings, that's more wire that I have to order. So I have a price per foot that I have figured out over the few years that I've been doing this, that is going to cover my labor fast numbers. So I don't have to go drive to every single job and give them a quote, because you're going to have probably 50% of the customers who say no. So every time you go spend an hour, hour and a half driving there, talking with them, and then you give them a number and you never hear from them again, that's all lost time. Which obviously is lost money, right? So you can't work that way, in my opinion. You got to figure out your pricing. You got to figure out your hours, and then you need to be able to price out, okay, my insurance costs me this much per year. My gas costs me this much per year. The tires on my truck cost me this much per year. My van costs me this much per year, right? All your expenses, all your insurances, all your business licenses, add all of those up, and then divide them by the amount of working hours that we have in a year, which for me is about 2,000. You could do a little bit less if you wanted to make sure you have some vacation time, but divide it by that number. And then that gives you an hourly rate that you need to charge to cover all of those business expenses, right? The ones that are on top of what you want to make as an electrician for you and your family, right? When you're on your own. So that's what we call overhead. Most of you guys probably already know this, but yeah, anyways, I've kind of gone way off left field, but what was the question there? Anyways, hope that helps. How do you that's what it was. How do you estimate work? So that's how I do it. There's links in all the videos if you guys want to pick up QuickBooks, if you're, on your own and you need something to help you to be more organized. Obviously those are affiliate links, so they do help me out a little bit. If you want to get it, don't go there and get it just to help me out. Like, I want to make sure that it's something that is actually going to be helpful for you, but that's what I use to run my business. So, any tips before I challenge or take the master electrician examination? Just take a whole bunch of tests, right? That's what you need to do. You just need to take test after test after test, answer the question until you can get to a place where you can pass with 70%, right? That's what you need to do. I think there's a website, it used to electricianpracticetest.com or something, and it just has a whole bunch of free tests. I don't know if that's exactly what the link is anymore, but it was something like that. And you could literally just go take test after test after test. Episode 15, hopefully this next week. Yeah, we were talking about it earlier. We're trying to get it edited. Sometimes, honestly, with the videos, you just got to stop editing because your brain turns to mush and you lose that kind of creative aspect in the editing portion. That's kind of where I'm at tonight. I was going to do some editing on that episode, but I couldn't pull myself to do it. So I figured I'd come live and try this instead. So Augustine, 4th year electrical union apprentice, worked in hospitals, schools, warehouses, and sports fields, but lacked residential experience. How did you learn residential? Honestly, side work. I did 14 years commercial, same type of thing, high rises, big office buildings, casinos, huge projects. And I learned residential just by people who said, hey, I need some can lights in my house. And I'd go do that on a Saturday. So I don't know you can do that. That's how you really learn to do. And honestly, if you can do commercial work, you can do residential, but it doesn't work the same way, the opposite. So just because you can do residential does not mean that you can do commercial work. It's 3-phase, it's completely different. But single phase is very easy if you learn the commercial side. Excited for episode 15. So am I. It's been a long time coming. As soon as that one's done, we're going to shift over to the other one that you guys have seen. There's been a couple episodes out on it. It's the one with the big, huge wire spools. It's another big panel upgrade. Jimbo, Paul, dude, he's amazing. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of you guys who are on here who are just like him, eager to learn, eager to work, not on your phones all day. I mean, he is just, he's killer. I love the kid. He's not a kid. He's an adult now. But he's Paul. So He's amazing. Silos, you charge your jobs time plus material or just labor. It's time and material, but in a quote, right? Like I was talking earlier. So I'll take what I know the job's going to take times my labor rate, right? And then materials as well. So add those both together, and then that's what produces. So let's say I know that a job is going to take me 8 hours. Here, we'll run it real quick. Let's say a job is going to take me 8 hours, and I know it's going to take 8 hours. 150 is my hourly rate times 8 hours equals, and let's say there's $600 in materials plus 600 equals $1,800. There you go. 150 includes my overhead. So I usually don't add anything on top of that. But if I know that a job is going to be really difficult, then I'll probably add a couple extra hours in to make sure. And that 8 hours in that quote included time to go get the material, right? Someone has to pay for that, right? A lot of people think, oh, well, he was only at my house for 6 hours. Why did he charge me for 8 or 7, right? That's another reason why we give quotes and we don't do hourly when we're on someone's. We say, this is what it's going to cost. You have to cover usually an hour before to get all the materials and an hour after to handle the invoicing, emailing, all the stuff that comes along on the back end, right? So you want to make sure that you're covering all of your bases. Msud, sorry, I hope I'm saying that right. How old am I? I am 37 years old. Tell us about your journey when you started your business, finding an apprentice, scheduling everything, your story, man. Really look up to me. Hey, man. Yeah, so I started when I was 20. I got in back in 2008 into the apprenticeship. I did 4 years at a non-union apprenticeship, ABC, and then got my journeyman license. I was a journeyman for 3 years, and then I switched over to the union. Did 7 years union as well as a journeyman. I made foreman the last couple of years. They put me in a service truck. If any of you have taken my Texas Electrical Continuing Education course, if you're in Texas, you'll know that I specialized in lighting controls. So here in California, there's some really stringent Title 24 codes that we have to follow, which basically is motion sensors everywhere, lights that dim at a certain level. When you come into a room, the lights are not allowed to come on at 100%. They have to come only up to 70. We have to have daylight sensors. Like if there's a certain amount of sunlight coming in from a window, the lights have to dim according to how much sunlight is in the room, if that makes sense. It's crazy. So I specialized in that for about the last 4 or 5 years of my working for contractors. And then, I just decided to take the jump. I actually got my contractor's license 9 years ago, and I didn't make the jump until 4 years ago. So I had my contractor's license for almost 5 years, but I was too afraid to take that step because we had kids, and it's a lot, right? You wonder if it's going to work, but as far as starting the business, finding an apprentice, I just prayed a lot. You guys know I'm a Christian. I firmly believe in just praying and asking the Lord to help bring whoever he would to this company. And Paul, he was 17, 18, just graduated high school. It was about 8 months into me starting Landers Electric, and I really needed help. And his brothers were electricians or are electricians. And he just came up to me one day and said, I want to be an electrician. I said, all right, I need an apprentice. So we got it, or his dad got him into the apprenticeship, and that was it. So it's been a long road, but it's been a good road. John, you'll be fixing conduit at Poinsettia Park tomorrow for a Musco light. Feel free to stop by and help you pull. Oh, that's funny, man. That's Carlsbad, I think, right? Oh, that's cool. E, we'll just call you E. You're trying to get an electrical job, but haven't gotten any replies. Keep applying, and you went to school and went to an electrical program after, and you worked at a solar company, but they laid you off. Yeah, that's a bummer, man. I'd say just keep Make sure you have your ET card. If you're in California, you got to have your ET card, and make sure that you, I would go reach out to the big contractors. That's what I always tell everybody. Trying to find a job with a smaller contractor is going to be a lot harder. I would go find a big contractor because they typically have a whole lot more availability to bring on new people. So I would say go reach out to them. Make sure you have your ET card first so that they can actually put you out to work. But if you went to school, you probably already have your ET card. So that's what I would say. What percent do you mark up your materials? Typically, I don't mark up materials. So I did a lot of research. The state of California. So quick and easy explanation. Let's say you buy a receptacle at $5. Okay. Let's say you go to the supply house, you buy it at $5, and then you mark it up to $10 and you send it and you sell it to the customer. The state of California technically wants the tax on that extra $5 that you marked it up. And they have this whole thing that you're supposed to sign up for. Most contractors don't do it and most never get caught, right? But I don't want to do anything that ever could cause me any issues. So they want you to provide like monthly estimates on all the marked up materials on what you're going to owe them in taxes, and then quarterly payments to them for the taxes on whatever amount you mark up. For a small guy like me, I don't have time to deal with that. So what I did is I just make sure that I have everything covered in labor hours. Most of the time your marked up materials, and please correct me if I'm wrong out there, anybody who knows more than I do, but most of the time the markup on materials is to cover your time to get the materials and to everything that entails the materials, right? I don't do that. I just actually charge the time that it takes me to go get the materials in my labor rate, right? So that's why I said add an extra hour to go get materials on the labor side, because there's no taxes on my labor side, right? I don't have to pay the state of California for fixtures or anything because I'm not marking it up, right, on the labor side. So I just make sure I'm covered on the other side, on the labor side. John, how far am I booked out on average? Honestly, man, not more than a week or two. There's tons of jobs that come in and I could get a whole lot better at this. But yeah, it's been almost 4 years and I don't think I've ever been booked out more than a week or two. Now, sometimes customers call me and I do tell them that I'm booked out a month or two. And that's because I know I have some big projects coming up. But they're never actually like scheduled. The bigger ones are not actually scheduled, a month or two out. I just know that they're coming up and I know that it's going to take every ounce of my effort to focus on making sure that I get materials, that I'm set up for those jobs. There's a lot of work that goes into it in the middle of all the other jobs that we're doing. So I try to not set anything in stone that doesn't have to be set in stone, because a lot of times you need to have open dates for things like the utility company. They decided that their only opening is on this date, right? So I don't want to be booked out for 2 or 3 months in advance because I'm just going to have to push some of those customers out. Michael, am I the only new guy who has to deal with toxic old journeymen? No, there's a lot of those guys out there. Yeah. Where are we at? Yeah, Toby, welcome to the trades. Carry flat rate is the way to go when giving estimates. 100%. That's what we're talking about. So quotes or flat rate. So that you got your T&M, time and material, or you got flat rate. That's the only way I like to do it. Just give them a number, let them say yes, and then there's none of that friction between you and the customer, and you're good to go. Michael, it's funny how I work for a union company too. Yeah, like I said, man, it's not just union versus non-union, and that the union's all good and the non-union's all bad, or non-union's all good and union's all bad. I mean, I've seen both sides, and And there's good and bad on both sides. Like there's garbage workers on both sides, and there's really good workers on both sides. Like, I mean, it just is what it is. Mystique, ever had any strangle 7 to 18 voltage reading on branch circuits on a residential service with solar? Fluke can't decide if it's been through everything, can't source it. I have seen those low voltages in areas. I've seen it a lot when we have um, two circuits sharing in a neutral, and you turn one of the circuits off, and the other one's still on it, and that other one will still pick up some nominal voltage. I'm sure you've already checked that though. It's hard to say without being out there and kind of running through everything. I mean, I'd go through and just turn off each breaker individually and see when that disappears. And yeah, like I said, if you have a black and a red that's coming out of the same Romex, check to see if that other breaker is on. It might be just putting off some nominal voltage through the Romex. XX King X, is Electrician worth it? I'm almost about to graduate college. I'm getting a little nervous. My friend, I'm very biased, but 100% that the electricians are the top of the food chain. Us and the plumbers, although I would never want to be a plumber, they make a lot of money too. They actually make more than us. But I've been doing it 18 years and I'm not going to do anything else. It's been amazing. It's been a blessing, and been able to take care of my family for a long time. So, Mike A., what made you to decide to become an electrician? Honestly, I was living at my buddy's parents' house, and they told me, I was trying to figure out what to do for work. They said, why don't you become an electrician? And I said, how much do they make? And they said, you can make up to 40 or 50 bucks an hour. I said, all right, let's go do it. So I went and signed up, and that was it. It was literally that. No crazy story. I just went and signed up, and I loved it, and I still love it. Michael, digging. Yep. Absolutely. Taylor, estimating in Canada about 200 hour CAD or 125 an hour USD. In Texas equivalent area, I use AccuBid for man hours, Revit Bluebeam for takeoffs, and Excel to convert takeoffs for AccuBid. Yep. I don't really use AccuBid. I should look into that a little bit more. I definitely use Bluebeam. I have the yearly subscription, and I use that for marking up drawings and creating drawings, all that stuff. Mo, have you heard of the National NASCLA Contractor's License? I have not. What is that? Taylor, what year apprentice is Paul? Seems like a cool guy. Yeah, he is. I believe he's a third year. I think a 3-2 now, almost a fourth year, or maybe he is a fourth year now. I'm not sure. He's in a 5-year program, so he'll be done here in a year or two. So, Toby, low volt lighting controls is taking over commercial electrical. I'm trying to understand it as much as I can as a first year, so it helps me excel. Yeah. Are you talking like 0 to 10? Are you talking, or are you talking like the new stuff like PoE, power over Ethernet? That's even way, like really low voltage. Because we do some now, but lots of Enlight, Wattstopper, Green Gate, Crestron, and now a lot of the stuff is wireless controls. So we did a lot of programming of that. MSUD, knowing what you know now, would you do it over again and have started your business sooner? I'd like to say yes. That's a great question, man. The last few years of being a foreman, if you can get your company to put you in a service van and to be a service electrician, I would say go for it if you want to start your own business, because that was very helpful for me to kind of get the feel for what it's like to be driving around in a van. And if you can get that opportunity before you take the jump and do it for like a couple years, that's the best. So But yeah, I would do it all over again. I might have started a little bit sooner. But honestly, I think the 14 years that I did was I think that was a good amount of time for me to get to a level where the biggest thing is knowing what to charge. If I had started 5 years sooner, I probably would have charged half of what I charge now, and that really would have hurt in the beginning. And if you build a clientele base, like new customers as a new contractor at a really low rate, and then you try and raise that rate later, it's really difficult to, like, I can raise my rates a little bit here and there, like $3, $5 a year, right? But if you start off really, really low, that's what I would say. You need to know what is fair market value in the area that you're at. What are electricians charging per hour, and make sure that you charge at the top of that rate, right? A lot of people say, well, when you're starting off, you should charge as low as possible to get your foot in the door. I completely disagree with that. There is a rate that is a fair market value for an electrician in your area. Find out what that rate is and charge that amount. If you are slower than other people, you're going to get less work because it's going to take you more time to get a job done. And people are going to realize that. And if you're giving quotes that are way too high for the amount of time that you're estimating to do it, you're not going to get the jobs. But that doesn't mean you need to lower your rates. The times that you need to lower your rates is when things get really slow. You might have to take a 20% cut on a specific job in order to just stay busy. We ran into that last year where we had to kind of cut things down a little bit and accept offers that were a little bit lower, and kind of, I wouldn't say barter, but it's kind of bartering with people like, hey, I got this other quote that was $200 less. And you're like, okay, I'll do it. I can do it for $200 less. Right. Dr. Banner, PhD, thanks for taking the time. You're welcome. Appreciate you. Sued, are you over your head on this meter change out, or are you still making out well? We're doing okay. I could have bid it better, for sure, but it's the first one. And yeah, we're making it through it. We're still going to make some money on it. And yeah, some of them are a learning process, I didn't completely blow it out of the water, but I definitely could have managed this one better. But we're doing the second one here, not tomorrow, but a week from Monday is when the outage is scheduled. So that video will be out probably a week after that. So as far as over my head, no, I'm definitely not over my head. I have a lot of good guys around me who know a whole lot. We probably have a total of 75 years of electrical experience between all of us. And so we're not over our head. It's just learning how to get these specific type of jobs done. And that's a little bit of learning. Each one is a little bit different. And none of them ever end up with zero stress at all. There's always stress, especially from the business side, being an owner, because it all falls back on you. You think about your family, if something really bad happens. We do carry insurance, and if there was something catastrophic that would happen, but you never want to have to go down that road. Toby, they're doing a lot of PoE for the lighting controls, watt stopper, and power packs. Yeah, 100%. PoE is going to take a lot of work away from electricians. I know that the union that I was with before I went off on my own, they were lobbying to make sure that all that PoE work stayed with the inside wiremen and not over to the low volt techs, but I don't know whatever happened with that. Toby, bridges that control whole zones. Yeah. King, thank you. Makes you feel way better. Grind and hopefully become a master electrician one day. Absolutely. Just go for it, man. Coors Light 2025. Your fridge had a dedicated wall outlet. There was a total of 3 outlets, including the fridge. Fridge had a dedicated wall outlet. There was a total of 3 outlets, including the fridge. on a 20 amp breaker. I moved my fridge, but the closest outlet is. So for that, you need to figure out what's on that circuit, the 15 amp breaker, and you need to add everything up and make sure that you're not overloading it with the wattage or the amperage of the refrigerator and anything else that is on that circuit. That's what you need to do. Toby it's still 277 power for the 2x4s itself, though. PoE just for dimming controls. Yeah, I've seen that. Nlight's not PoE, but it's the same thing. You still bring 277 to all the fixtures, and then you have your Nlight controls either integrated into the fixture or you mount the power packs, right? And then you run a Cat5 to each one for communication. Austin, how many jobs do you jump around to? I only ask because the videos you post, not much happens. Design and layout does, but no work being done. Thanks, you kill it. Yeah, so you kind of this series kind of jumped in at a time in the business where we've landed these bigger jobs. That's not typical for us. We usually have jobs that are 2 to 3 days long, maybe 4 days, and then we're out, but in and out. But these ones, one of the reasons why it's taken so long to get to the upgrade day is all the steps that we have to take with the utility company and with the city to get these approved. So you start with the first job walk, then you have to meet the trench inspector out there, and he has to say, okay, dig it this way. And then they have to schedule another one where once you have it dug, he has to come look at the trench. And then once he looks at the trench, then you can install partial of the conduit. And then he has to make sure that that's good. And then they'll call for the lineman to come and put the sweep into the transformer. And then once that's cleared and they pull the mandrel, then you can come back and backfill, right? So I've been trying to just still get content out to you guys to really be thorough in all of the videos so that you can really see the entire process, right? So it is a struggle on those times when it's just layout that we're doing in the videos. But it's, that's kind of how these jobs go. And then you finally have the day where you're doing the upgrade and you finish it. And that, there was, I think, 8.5 or 9 hours of video footage from that job. It actually took us 17 hours. So episode 2, you're not going to see. I had to turn the camera off because we were in such a rush and such a push at the end. We worked from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. that night, and I had to turn the camera off. So you're not going to get to see that last about 5 hours because I really had to focus on what I was doing. Not that the camera during the day was really causing any issues because it's just literally on my chest while I'm walking around. But I really needed to focus. But as far as jobs that we're jumping around right now, we have the 2 that are going on, and then just little jobs here and there that I don't always get them on camera, but like we had to go replace an Nlight controller and reprogram some power packs. And then, we might get a job where we're installing some can lights or, so we're just kind of jumping all over trying to fill in the empty days. And it just happened to be that we starting like new jobs and they're all kind of big jobs. So we're not always able to have our bags on doing something every day. Did you start resi, low volt, or commercial? I started 100% commercial. I went straight in with one of the biggest contractors here in San Diego. Berg Electric is who I worked for. And straight into commercial. If you can get into commercial to start, I'd say that's what you want to do. Because if you can do commercial, as I said earlier, you can do resi, but just because you can do resi does not mean you can do commercial. So, Carrie, salute to you for providing all the great content. All the content you're putting out is building great value for our industry. Hey, I appreciate you, Carrie. I figured I can take what I have learned and try and share that with everybody else, make some money to help support the family a little bit more here in Southern California, and also learn from people who comment on the videos. I absolutely love it when people comment thoughtful comments. Hey, did you ever think about doing it like this? Or, hey, did you ever think about getting this tool? And I mean, just the other day, I bought the ground rod What is it? Racketeer's ground rod cover that goes over the top of a ground rod and it has a big old head on it so you can hit the sledgehammer on the top of it. Like, I didn't even think about it, but we bought it. I was in there because someone commented on the YouTube video, hey, you should go buy one of these. So we did. So I absolutely love it. I can't tell you how many times I've almost posted a video just because I was in a spot where I didn't know the answer to something and I wanted to push it out really quick and be like, hey, like, emergency, I need an answer right now. You guys help me out. You know what I mean? To where those of you who actually leave good comments, I value them so much. You know what I mean? Taylor, you did service projects for data centers, AC/DC power, fire suppression, data centers, solar fiber, some high voltage. That's awesome, man. Yeah, commercial is, I love commercial. It doesn't mean that if you're only doing residential that you're not going to do good. You can do residential for your entire career. You can have a service-based business. You can work for another contractor and do residential for your entire career, and it's just fine, right? You don't have to go to that other aspect of electrical. Like, I've never done like industrial work at a substation or a water treatment plant. I've never done work there, and you don't have to. You can get experience in a lot of different areas. Let's see here. NASCLA is a multi-state electrical license. That's cool. That's very cool. Mike, what's the most difficult job install an electrician could do? Oh man, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. There's people who've done stuff way harder. I mean, maybe those windmills that are out in the middle of the desert or something, that they're like 500, 700 feet tall. I don't know, or changing a light bulb at the top of the Empire State Building or something. For me, that would be difficult because I don't want to be up on the top of that building, changing out that light bulb. But I mean, there's a lot that are really difficult and challenging. And Taylor, yeah, you had a lot of fun. Carrie, you don't care how easy a service change might seem. They are all challenging in their own way. That is a correct statement. Every single one of them has its own challenges, and you guys saw us do the one on the one side of the building. The other side, it already has its other challenges that I've seen, and we're going to have to figure it out. We're going to have to prep for it. And then you get in the middle of it and you might run into a bind and you got to run to the store because there was one little piece that, you planned for it to go this way and it actually needs to go this way. You can't always see, especially like residential homes, when you open up the wall, you don't know what's going to be behind them. So you do your best to try and plan. But there's always something that pops up, and we usually have to take one trip somewhere, one supply house. Mr. Pancake, electrical work consists of a lot of math. It does. Yeah, it's a lot of math for sure. Learning a tape measure. Yeah, I mean, you got to do a lot of math, but I wouldn't say it's like calculus math. It's something that you can learn on the job as an apprentice. And just by watching some simple videos, learn how to read a tape measure, add, subtract fractions, stuff like that. It's not that difficult. Paul Novak, I feel like I know you, Paul. Why does that name sound familiar? Hi, I want to install a cooktop circuit and there is drawers under the cooktop, possibly preventing me from putting a J-box there. Can I put in cabinet under sink? I am running 10.3, no inspection. Usually there's space behind the drawers, like right at the back of the cabinet. The drawers usually don't go all the way to the back. I would try and stay away from going under the sink if I were you. I would take one of the drawers out and then I'd get under there with a tape measure and see if there's a gap. There usually is behind the drawers, and you can buy a shallow junction box. And that's usually how I do those, is by doing that. Momo, are you bidding on rebuilding jobs affected by the fires? No, I'm not. I really have zero desire to go up there. There is massive insurance claims going on with that. There's a whole bunch of companies going up there, restoration companies. I don't like to get mixed up in stuff that has all of those moving parts, right? People are in massive lawsuits. I want nothing to do with it. What I want to be here for is the contractors who are in San Diego who decide to go up there and take that work. That means there's less contractors down here doing work. I want to be part of that group to support the customers that are down here now that we have less contractors who have gone up to LA. So, Taylor, thanks for starting a YouTube channel. I think it'll definitely grow. Yeah, you're welcome. I hope it grows too. That's what we're pushing for. But it is where it is, and I'm happy with it. So appreciate you guys watching. How did you know how to account for all the time for the inspection, city coordination, and all that stuff? Did you bid for that time as well? Yes. Yep. So you just think, you got to think. And as I said, I could have bid this one better. Yeah, you think about, okay, it's going to take, I'm going to have one trip down here to meet the trench inspector. I'm going to have a second trip down here to meet the trench inspector. I'm going to have a trip down here to meet the general contractor. I'm going to have a trip down here for this, trip down here for this. I'm going to need Paul with me on this day. I'm going to need Paul with me on this day. I'm going to need extra contractors' help on the Disco Rico day, right? So those are all things that you need to account for beforehand when you give that number. So yeah, you just think it through from literally start to finish of the job and do your best on coming out with that number and making sure that you give yourself a little bit of room, because there's typically always something that you miss, right? And you'll be able to account for that by just adding a little bit extra. And yeah. How was the pressure knowing the tenants didn't have the power and knowing you're responsible for that? Yeah, that was the biggest stress factor right there. Was that the outage? That's what makes the disconnect reconnect so stressful. Is that you have people in their homes and you're wearing that weight on your shoulders the whole time. So it can be a challenge. Do electricians also do solar? Yes, they do. And a lot of non-electricians do solar and work on panels. But yeah, we do solar. I don't do solar anymore. I did it a little bit and I decided I didn't want to be up on a roof. And there's a lot that goes into those. So I typically just leave those to the solar contractors. America Electric LLC, any new hires tell you I'm from the hall, I'm here to help? No, I haven't really hired any new people. So, yeah. Ileana, love your videos. Hey, thanks so much. Appreciate you out there. Edward, what platform do you use for leads to stay busy for work? I don't really use any of the lead generators. I am on Angie's list, but I have turned off every single zip code except for one and one specific electrical task. I found that they're not, think they're in it to make money by producing leads. That doesn't mean that the leads are good. I did find that a lot of times the leads were just people shopping around, and you get charged if you accept that lead. So for me, I just left it basically almost turned off because I just want my website to show up on their website for a marketing. I think it's like 30 or 40 bucks a month that I get charged for that. So yeah, that's it. To stay busy with work, we just honestly, if you're starting out, we talked about it in the beginning, but you just want to get a Google business account. Like I think it used to be called Google My Business, and set up a profile on there so that you show up on Google Maps and Safari Maps and all that. And then every time you finish a job, ask for a review. And the more reviews you have, the higher you will show up in the rankings. So if you can get a review every single time when you're first starting, you're going to get phone calls that way. And you don't have to pay for that. There is the new Google guaranteed thing where there's a check mark, a green check mark or something. But I don't pay for that. I think you have to pay for that. John, do you ever watch other YouTube electrician channels? If so, who do you like? I don't watch. So one of the channels that I really did like was the Engineering Mindset. He does a lot of good videos. I think it's a faceless YouTube channel. And he does a lot of technical stuff. I do like watching Mythbusters with my boy. We enjoy watching those. I watched those with my dad when I was younger. And those are pretty cool. They're not particularly electrician channels, but we do watch them. I do like learning. Most of the time that I'm on YouTube, I'm learning something. I do watch other electricians. It's mostly to learn from them, to learn what they're doing, kind of looking at how they're editing their videos. And I don't really have time to just watch them just to watch them. Electrician U, he's good. I like Dustin. He does a really good job. He's been doing it for a long time. He's very thorough in his videos. If you want more of like the theory side, he does a good job. And then other channels like Victory Outdoor Services, they're concrete, but they do a good job. I like his videos. RR Buildings, and then Perkins Builder Brothers. They're pretty good too. Mr. Pancake, you're 20 and lost in life. I want to work hard and learn, but I'm hesitate to jump in. All I'd have to do is get into an apprenticeship, right? Do you take an aptitude test? Yeah. So I tell everybody who's trying to get in, go find all the apprenticeships in your area and fill out an application at all of them. In my area, we have 3 primary ones. You have ABC, WICA, and the union. So I'd say go fill out an application at all of them. And there's going to be an aptitude test. It's usually, when I took it, it was like 8th grade math and English, reading comprehension. It's not that difficult. Put in an application and go for it. And then don't tell them that you put an application at all 3 of them. They don't need to know that. I only say that because you might not get into one, and you don't want to have all your hopes and dreams in getting into that one program, and then you don't get into it. And then now you go sign up for the next one. And it takes a long time to go through their process, right? I say go do all 3, see which one you get into, and then you can drop the other ones, right? And then you're off to the races. So I understand the feeling of being lost in life, man. A trade is a really good spot. If you're a military person as well, I had a lot of military in my family. They took that route. If you're truly lost, you don't know what to do, I say either get into a trade or get into the military. I know my grandpa did 30 years and 3 months in the Marines. My uncle did 20 years in the Army. And I decided to go the trades route. So yeah, it's if you don't want to have to do all the moving around though and all that and be locked down to being in the military, a trade is a really good route. And but you just got to go after it, right? Watch videos after videos. You need to put everything else aside and just get focused on learning what you need to do, what it looks like to be an electrician. Watch as many videos as you can on what being learning, right? I mean, just watching other electricians on YouTube, whether it's my channel or anybody's channel, learn what they do. If you have a question, go as far as to even ask ChatGPT, hey, how does a receptacle work? How does a switch work? Do everything you can to get in. And I mean, it's never bad to learn a trade, right? If in 4 years you decide, hey, I want to do something else, that's fine. At least you didn't waste 4 years of your life, trying to figure out what you did want to do, right? Buckle down with something now, get serious about something now that can be a career for the rest of your life. And then if you change your mind, you can do that. And if that doesn't work out, then guess what? You can be an electrician again, or you can be a plumber again, right? But you just need to focus and get on it, you know? I say that like it's easy. I mean, I get it. I remember being 20, like all over the place. Like I was in a bad spot when I was 20. Thank the Lord that he pulled me into being an electrician when I was 20 years old. And, you know, just do your best, man. Go find them, find an apprenticeship, something that you can jump into. Mike A, could you also sell other trades like HVAC or plumbing? I don't know what you mean, Mike. Could you also sell other trades like HVAC? Do you mean like, you know, if I get a job and then they need a plumber, I can, you know, refer them? You mean more referring, or what do you mean? I don't know your name there, but Yusuf, you're a student specializing in renewable energy in the electrical department. What is the best piece of advice you would give me as I begin my career in this field? I take it you're talking perhaps solar, wind, you know, stuff like that. I mean, I think it would go with anything else. Just work hard, right? Do your best to learn as much as you can in that specific industry. I don't know specifically what you're talking about there, but it goes hand in hand with anything, right? If you have free time, don't sit on Instagram, right? Don't sit on TikTok. Watch videos. You know, a lot of my time spent when I'm driving is my time to learn. Or even in the shower, I usually have some sort of podcast or something on, or a sermon or something that I'm learning, right? Because I don't have a lot of time anymore. If you're in an age where you don't have a family, you don't have a lot of responsibilities, that's the time when you need to really buckle down and focus and like learn and learn and learn. And there's so much free information out there. You don't need to pay for courses. You don't need to pay for, you know, a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, in my opinion, most areas of life nowadays, you don't even need to go to college, right? Now, if you want to be a doctor, or you want to be a lawyer, or you want to be anesthesiologist, or, you know, something specific that requires a college degree, then I think you need to get one, right? But we live in a day and age when you can make a really good living without having to go down that route. And I mean, renewable energy in the electrical department, yeah, like I said, I just go after it, man. Whatever, just show up on time. Don't be on your phone while you're at work, and just focus on what you're doing and do your best to learn. I think that kind of goes with everything in life. The Topkin, I don't know if this is too invasive, but how much did you personally pocket in the last year? You know, I don't really like to get into personal finances. I'll say this. From what a typical journeyman makes, I doubled my income overnight by starting the business. That's about as far as I'll go. Whatever you're making as a journeyman in your area, you're probably going to make, if you're good and if you can get the work, you're probably going to make double what you would make. And you're probably going to be able to work less hours to get to that number, the double. If you really want to push, you can get over double, but that's typically what I tell people. You're probably going to double your income as a journeyman. If you're a good contractor and if you're pricing things correctly. A lot of guys go out there and they don't do their research, the market research for their area, right? And they go out there and they're charging way too little. And then they say, I'm making the same that I was before, but now I have all these headaches, right? Your contractor, let's say they pay you, I don't know, $40 an hour. They're probably billing at 85 to 100 an hour for you, right? So just keep that in mind. That's the money that they're making on you. So if you start your own company, in theory, you should be able to pocket that extra money, right? So at least you should be making 1.5 times what you are making now. So yeah, that's about as far as I'll go into it. Ryan, what happened to the EV charger in the parking deck install part 2? Yes, that's a great question, Ryan. To be honest, that we're not going to be doing that one anymore. Unfortunately, that one got moved to someone else. So yeah, that's unfortunate, but it does happen sometimes. So sorry about that. But we will keep filming the jobs that we are on. So Edward, what tools do you recommend for a starting apprentice? I would look at all. This is where I'm going to probably get some backlash, but Klein tools, obviously, they got good tools. Knipex, I think is what it's called. In my area, everybody calls it Knipex. So, yeah, I've gotten roasted for calling it Knipex, but Knipex, I think it is. They have very good tools as well. Make sure you use Fluke for your tick tracer and your meter. Klein, I still use my diagonal cutters and my linemen when I do use the linemen. I have Klein tools and Milwaukee for my small drills and impacts. I like their tools. Been learning so much from your videos. Keep up the awesome content. Appreciate you. Joel, estimate what would a 60 amp panel to a 200 amp panel cost? Joel, did you send me an email? You might have sent me an email. Let me check real quick. Someone just emailed me. Sorry, I was on vacation. It depends on where you're at, Joel. Maybe it wasn't. If it's a simple overhead change out, we charge $4,800 for a 200 amp upgrade. That includes the new riser going up, a weatherhead. If it's underground, it does get a little bit more difficult because the utility company might make us trench all the way out to the street. If they don't make us trench all the way out to the street, it's the same price. It's $4,800. Whether there's a mast or not, I just keep this price the same both ways. That's in the San Diego area. And Joel, if you did send me an email and I didn't get back to you, sorry again, I was on vacation. Shoot me another email and I will get back to you. Msood, you should post signs outside your jobs, branding your company. Yeah, we should do that for sure. Msood, do you struggle with your work-life balance being self-employed? All the time. It's getting better. It's getting better, right? But it's definitely a struggle at times to turn it off, right? Make sure that there's time for Little League and softball and gymnastics and all the stuff that goes on with kiddos and with my wife. And we're getting better at it. We're definitely getting better at it. At the beginning, it was really tough to balance all that stuff. Velo Clips, hey, you should put everything what you can show up on a uncut channel, because I think many people would love that to show in the background. I'm not sure what you mean, uncut channel. Are you talking about a different YouTube channel or like videos that are all uncut that show literally everything rather than the edited videos? Maybe that's what you're talking about. I've thought about doing that. I just didn't think that many people want to see that because there's a whole lot of blank space where, you know, we're just standing there or I'm just turning a screwdriver and nobody wants to watch me do that for a minute and 30 seconds, you know, or whatever. I try and make it to where they're, I don't know. Most people want to watch them. Edward, you're welcome. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate you. Mo Mail, sorry, I didn't hear this answer. Are you bidding on rebuilding jobs affected by the fires? No, I am not. I'm going to stay in San Diego and let other contractors go up there and handle that. Bass Blaster, I believe it will be available. I need to look at it first when we're done, just to make sure that it's edited correctly. I need to cut it up a little bit, but then it should be available. Kevin is becoming a journeyman more than just taking the test. I know people that I've worked with, they are 5 to 10 years into the trade and they don't have journeyman status. Yeah, so there's a LARP, Capital, hey, bedtime. Yeah, I know. Absolutely. Chula Vista. You did, Joel. You did send that to me. Yeah. Yeah. So 4,800 is what it would be, Joel. So reach out again. Let me know. We can talk more. I have time tomorrow, so just give me a call tomorrow. You should have my phone number there on the email. Or actually, you don't. Send me another email, and I will, because I have about 98 in my inbox right now, and I'll make sure to get back to you tomorrow. Is becoming a journeyman more than just taking the test? No. So, well, I mean, you have to have 8,000 hours, and you have to be able to prove that you have 8,000 hours, at least in California. Yeah, there's a lot of guys who they worked for smaller contractors. I just got a call the other day. He's been doing it for 20 years and doesn't have a license. Yeah, really, it is just getting your license and taking that test. And you just have you got to fill out the application and make sure you can prove your hours. But you really want to get that, what do you call it? That license. You want to have that. Joel, yes, got you. LARP, if you ever get a chance, you should do a video on laying out hi-hats and how to use a laser level properly. I did do the laser level with look for I think it's episode 2 or 3, electrical wiring. I use a laser level to, what do you call it? Level out receptacles in a kitchen. So you can check that one out. Taylor, do you foresee yourself hiring enough people to be off tools in the future and focusing on estimating, organizing work? I mean, it really goes back to what I was saying earlier, that I'm not the type that's going to go out to Indeed.com and try and go hire 10 guys so that I can grow this business as something that's massive. That's just not who I am. I pretty much see it as the Lord's going to bring whoever he wants to be a part of this company. And I think that could happen at some point. But I don't have this goal to have, 10 trucks or 100 trucks running around. I'm just trying to take things one day at a time. And so far, a good journeyman with a license who's trustworthy hasn't, with the license is key, come across. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm still out there with the bags on, and maybe someday, but where I'm at, I'm still it's still really the beginning phases. 4 years into a business I'm still a baby, when you really look at established businesses who have been doing it for 50 years. So Mike A, how's that commercial EV job going? Yeah, unfortunately that one went to a different contractor at this point. So it happens sometimes. It's unfortunate, but I'm not going to be able to continue that one or the videos for that one. So I'm kind of bummed about it, but yeah, that's what happened with that one. So Joel, thanks. You're welcome. LARP Capital, you're in Florida, just applied to take your exam and now waiting for them to let you know the date of the test. That's awesome. Absolutely. Keep going, man. Get that test, get your license, and you should be good to go. Ben just hopped on. Is the multimeter install job series complete? So we have part 1 of the actual Disco Rico Day. I think it's episode 14. We posted that a few days ago. Part 2 is going to be coming out this next week. I have all the footage. We're just editing it now. And the part 2 should be the final one. And then a week from this Monday, so a week from tomorrow, we're doing the second side, which is another 28 meters. That will come out another, probably another week after that. And then we have the other project that's on the other side that we're doing all that trenching for. That one, as of tomorrow or Tuesday, should have the trench closed up. The conduits are installed. We have to set the pad. Utility company will set the utility transformer, and then we'll be able to get a Disco Rico date on that one. So that's where we're at right now. Did you take the FE, Fundamentals of Engineering exam yourself? I did not. I took the electrical side, so I think that's a different test. Jacob, appreciate all your vids, man. Super helpful. Keep up the great work. Appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys out there. And Ben, cool beans. Thanks. Thank you guys too. It is 10:17. I'm going to call it a night, but I really, really want to start doing these at least once a month where we can have a live stream. We can get questions out. We can just kind of see where we're at. And I did open up a membership for anybody who wants it on the channel. I think it costs a little bit per month, but if you guys are interested in it, I guess you get like special emojis and I don't know, it popped up on the thing. So if that's something you want, it's now available. And yeah, appreciate all you guys. Hope you have a great night. And didn't you have a very scary burn story? Yeah, I'll answer that last one. Good night, Larp. Yeah, that one was a residential panel upgrade, and I was overwhelmed. Too much work, too much going on. Was working 14, 16-hour days leading up to that, and I made a big mistake and forgot to turn the main breaker off, and the panel blew up right on my hand. So if you didn't get to see that, the full video is on the channel. You can check it out. I think it's like I forget what it's called, but it's on there. So, all right, everybody, you guys have a great night. We'll see you later. Have a great week. Take care. Appreciate you, LES. All right, good night.